Hi everyone, I'm Sayanti, the artist behind Sayanti Finance. Last year I painted a couple of galaxy paintings. One of them I posted it as a tutorial, I'll link that in the video description below, and this was the other one. Although I had a video footage of this one as well, I did not post it because I did not want to post two consecutive galaxy videos. And since then I've been wondering what to do with this video footage and what to do with this painting. So I thought let's use this as the background and create a silhouette Buddha painting. Let's see how.
I'm starting off with the background, and you don't necessarily have to paint the same background or the same galaxy background for this particular painting. You can use any landscape or any galaxy painting. You can even use the other galaxy painting that I have linked below in the video description as the background. So what I'm doing here is layering color one after the other. And I started with white, then I'll move to yellow, then I'll put in a little bit orange, then crimson, purple, blue, and then I'll keep on darkening the blue to almost a black color. And the reason I choose this process of transition of color is that I want to avoid any muddy colors or any unwanted colors. Like if I put blue right after yellow, it will create a green, and I do not really want that green in the sky. So this order of color is kind of what I often follow in sunsets and galaxy paintings, but that is not really necessary. That's just one of the practices. So as you can see, I'm still adding a lot more color to the background and darkening up the corners. It kind of creates an effect if you darken the corners and kind of let it fade as you go towards the center. Another important thing about the composition here that I wanted to mention is that I'm following the rule of thirds. No matter what background you choose, what landscape you choose, make sure that your horizon line is either in the bottom 2/3 or in the top 2/3 of the painting. That is one of the important aspects of making a composition look good, pleasant to the eye. It is called the rule of thirds. And now I'm adding, or rather dabbing, with a stiff round brush some white colors on top of the colors already. And at this moment, I'm working completely wet on wet. I have not used any kind of medium in this painting. The only thing that I'm using to dilute my paint a little bit is odorless mineral spirits. Some people also use turpentines, but because of the odor, I like to use odorless stuff, and my preferred brand is Mona Lisa odorless spirits, and everything, all the materials that I've used is linked in the video description below, so you can check it out. And if you have any questions, obviously put it in the comments below. I blended it out with my big blender brush, 2-inch blender brush, a little bit, and then I'm moving on and adding more colors, adding some darker blues, purples, and layering and giving a hint of clouds or starry backgrounds. Now I'm adding a lot of grays and dark purples in the bottom area, which I painted as hills. And when I initially created the backgrounds, I made it very dark and just use one single color because it was meant for a painting tutorial, or rather a painting session that was done in a setting like a sip wine and paint kind of scenario. So I wanted to keep it very simple. And after I added the original background, I used a palette knife and added a little bit hint of gray paint on top of the hills to just add a little bit of character to it. But when I restarted my painting and thought about painting this silhouette Buddha face, I decided that I wanted to add some layers of paint on the hill area before I moved on to get on the face actually. And before I went on to the ending the painting, as you saw, I sprayed on some white paint to create the illusion of stars. Now is what I'm doing is I'm just adding, or rather lightening up, some of the colors of the hills at the very end by adding some grays Some of them I'm making blues, some of the closer ones I'm making purples. The whole purpose is to add some layers or create some variations in the otherwise dark and dull mountains. And adding these layers and a little bit of highlight on the side, which I thought was the source of light, and darkening the shadow areas a little bit, I think it added a lot more depth to the painting, creating the illusion of depth, and made the painting a little more interesting to begin with, the background a little more interesting to begin with. This is not an necessary step, but I like to improvise or put in these kind of little tips and tricks in a painting that I think add a lot of value to the painting itself. After I painted and added some layers of color or lighter shades to the mountains at the very back and darkened up the shadow areas a lot more, my whole purpose here was hyping up the contrast and creating some depth. And I glazed the mountains in the very front with some Prussian blue, which was diluted quite a bit with the odorless mineral spirits. However, make sure that the paint is not runny, otherwise you will have it running down the canvas, which is not at all a good idea. So just enough to make it go smoothly and create a glaze. Now on to drawing the silhouette. Before I drew the started painting the silhouette face, I started by drawing the Buddha face or outline of the face with a white general charcoal pencil. Now, if you are not sure whether you can draw this face all by yourself, not a worry at all. I have a nice traceable linked in the video description below. Just click on the link and trace it out. And if you want to know how to trace, then obviously I have another video showing you how to trace any drawing on your canvas, and you can follow the directions on that. Once you have traced out or drawn, whichever method you prefer, for the Buddha face, or you can do any face for that matter. And then I started with the inky mixture of blue and black. So there's a lot of Prussian blue mixed with a tiny bit of black here. I do not like to use straight up black because that makes the painting look kind of dull. Excuse me. I added a little bit of, I added a little bit of black to the Prussian blue. And I painted the whole area of the silhouette, creating some areas more darker than the others. And if you look at the traceable, you will get an idea about how I painted the silhouette. So if you want to change it up a little bit, you can, following that traceable. At this point, it is just like filling up kind of thing, and I think even kids can do it, this painting, apart from the fact that I do not really recommend oil painting for kids who are very little, because obviously it is a little bit of messy unless you can handle it. Adding on to the body, and at the bottom part, instead of going with the black color, because black on black will not show, so I added some of the lines with gray in the body of the Buddha. Now you could finish this painting at this point completely and it would look simply alright, but what I thought is adding a little bit of body to the painting with some gray paint here and there, and like what I'm trying to create is a little bit of 3D effect in some areas, like eyelid, the eyeballs, the little dot on the head, and that kind of adds a 3D effect to the painting, which to me, I think adds a lot more value. Added a little more shadow, darks and lights to the lip area as well, to the eyes, some of the curls of the hair, the dots in the heads. Those are those are symbols of curls in the hair in Buddha paintings. That's how it is done. And that's pretty much it for the painting. So if you like the painting, you definitely let me know, and if you have any questions, let me know that as well. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button and push the notification bell so that you get to know every time I post a new video. And that's all I have for today. See you soon.